That's right. Well, let's do a proper introduction.
All right.
He's James. I'm Dante. We're just two guys that like basketball and like to talk shit about basketball and just like to shoot the shit. So every time that there's a big piece of news breaking, especially if it's Raptors related, we try to make some time to come in and just do a quick 20, 30-minute chat about it. And certainly, as James just said off the top there was some Raptors related news that sparked our interest and prompted this call today. So James, I know you were the trigger man. This I think this resonated with you a little bit more than me. So this all stemmed from the City Edition jersey leak for the 2025 season.
Yes.
Raptors released their black jersey. So are we able to share the screen or no?
Yeah, give it a see what happens. I might have to give you
Yeah.
permission, but yeah, let's see.
All right, let's see what happens when I try to share the screen, just so that people have an idea of what I'm talking about. Of course, it's freezing up for me. But as we're loading this up, James, what were your initial thoughts on this jersey? We're gonna have it in the screen in a second here.
All right. Yeah, so I mean it's a funny thing because if you haven't seen our last conversation that's up on YouTube, Dante and I were talking about our top 5 Raptors of all time, and that was centered around the Pascal Siakam trade last season. So when news broke a few days ago of this 2025 Raptors City Edition jersey, um, it spawned me because my number one is Vince Carter of all time, and for reasons that we've gone down that I'll probably share a little bit more here. But the big, I guess, kind of bigger deal is centered around that it's also the Raptors' 30th anniversary season, right? And I think
Sure.
so that's where some of the emotions come into play. But if you haven't seen it, here it is on the screen. So very clear, regular original Raptor head, but in the VC pose from his famous dunk competition dunk. I know I had this poster up in my room when I was a kid, so very famous
Oh, yeah,
VC pose. But yeah, just in Raptors, there's some. I know it's like off centered a bit, and we don't know if this is the full end, if the where the numbers are going to go, and all of that. But this is the jersey as now the fans and
mm,
everyone has seen. Um, and it's the nod to Vince Carter and his impact on the Raptors. And so I guess
yeah,
I don't know. I don't think we have to share it for the whole convo, but I think it's one of those things that it's good for people to get the reference point of what we're
sure,
talking about.
absolutely. Okay, well, I got a couple questions right off the top. Now this is obviously, like you said, the 30th anniversary of the Raptors, but it's also the year that Vince Carter is going into the Hall of Fame. Um, do you think that if Vince was not going into the Hall of Fame, would we still be doing this? I don't think so.
That's
I
a good
think that,
question. Yeah. I don't think so. But I mean, they probably started working on this at least like last season, right? Like I know that obviously if with Nike and then the folks at MLSE would have had to have had creative input. So there must have been some behind the scenes discussions. I know that Vince recently, I don't know how recently, but he's come out and said that, you know, um, he always wanted it like he wants to be remembered as a Raptor, and we all know that when news first broke a Hall of Fame that he chose to go in as a Raptor. Uh,
sure.
but yeah, so I think that if he didn't come out and publicly say that when he was first, it was first said that he was going to get into the Hall of Fame, I don't think we would have either. I think that him
Or
saying
maybe if they did the same, the Raptor jersey would have a 95 instead of the 15. Like
true,
maybe they already had something in place or something.
yeah, which is another interesting again nod to that it's like specifically for him in this rendition of the jersey. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's very clearly specifically for him. Personally, I think it's awesome. I love it. Like the more that I'm looking at this as I talk to you, the less I like it. Like I
Like the actual jersey.
yeah, yeah. It almost looks like a practice jersey too. There's no like city logo, there's no team name on it. If there's obviously there's no numbers on the front, numbers on the back, but you're gonna have two different sets of numbers, the 15 and then whatever is on the back there. I do like the pinstripe, like that's cool, and I like the color dominance. Like I think that the purple is an underserved color in the NBA, and I don't know if you saw. Did you see the in-season tournament court that they released? Maybe
Yes,
maybe I'll pull that up in a second. But like I
sure.
think that looks beautiful as well. Um, so I'm all about it, and I think that the Vince Carter aspect, specifically the Vince Carter aspect, will be a selling point for kids in the States more than the 95. 95
Sure.
resonates with us. We're from Canada, whatever makes sense. But for the States, if I'm a kid in Milwaukee, that doesn't really make sense. But I know Vince, and I remember that dunk competition. So I could see this being an attractive piece for people for the Vince Carter inclusion. I think that's an added selling point. So I think it's pretty nice, and compared to some of the other city jerseys, which I think are on this list too. Maybe I'll scroll down a little bit, but like I think that this is on the higher end of quality here.
Yeah, and I mean there's chatter too of them having a few different kind of 30th anniversary jerseys. I know some people are hoping that, you know, although they've worn the pinstripe with the purple in the past, they're hoping for maybe that to come back, maybe
Yeah,
the purple front, black back to come back. So it could just be one of many, but
I mean,
it's up
aside
for
from Utah
iteration.
right here on the screen, like Utah and what is it? I guess Sacramento and LA, like with purple, but
Right.
not like as a dominant, like well, Utah there it does, but like look at these jerseys, man. These look plain and boring, some of these look very plain and boring.
Yeah, there's not a lot of overly creative aspects to a lot of them, right? And
Yeah.
so I think that at least with I like this might be the first ever time. I know that these, the city jerseys or, hometown jerseys haven't been around for a long time, but this might be the first like specific player like
Oh yeah. Yeah.
homage, right? That any
Oh, probably,
team has
right?
ever had, right? So
Yeah.
it's really cool in that regard. And like
I never thought about that. You're right. Like not even Jordan has had something like that, right? So that's pretty cool. Hmm.
yeah, so it's one of those things that, you know, from when it comes to like the creativity piece, whoever decided on this is really like taking that step and being that first, especially on how we can get into it wasn't all roses for Vince in Toronto, and especially leaving via trade, which we can get into. But I like it for that aspect. I like it's from what he meant to the franchise for them to release this 30th anniversary year. I think it really kind of closes the chapter in that like love way that we were all hoping for
That's
to
a
the
good
Vince
point.
Carter era.
That's a good point. It does close that chapter, and I think it then allows us to now move on to recognize the Lowrys and the DeRozans of the world.
Yes.
So yeah, that is a good point there.
So
Interesting.
should we so let's talk about kind of the various viewpoints maybe then that this will incite, because this was started from our chat group when one of our friends, we'll call him E, he had a do you have your phone on you? Like because
Okay, so
if you can get his quote, I mean, it's the polar opposite to what I felt seeing it for the first time. And it's one of those things that I think will bring up some emotions for some people when they see it about, why would we give this stage to Vince, who
that's right.
left on not the best terms.
Right. So Ricky, no, sorry. I mean, E says that the Raptors number is 95. That's what it should be. Not celebrating a guy who quit on the team um, because he could dunk well 20 something years ago. So he's definitely still salty about it. He didn't know about that Vince is also the 2K cover athlete, so that's another accolade for him too.
Right.
But he's more one to recognize the Lowry and the DeRozan and stuff like that. And I get that. I mean, a lot of people were really hurt when Vince kind of sold out, and me too, right? Me too. But I don't know, I'm over it, man. I'm over it. It's all
Yeah,
good.
like and yet like we've we've been friends forever, and like like that there's no bigger Raptors fans, and kind of living through that era. Like we were in V's living room when Vince missed the game 7 shot against Philly.
Yeah.
Like I remember, like I was at a basketball tournament watching the slam dunk competition. Like it's just it was such a profound mark on our lives that when he left, yeah, I was upset. Like, say it ain't so. Like, why is it going down this way? And there's all those, hindsight learning as much as we did about all of the stuff that, kind of the
Well, I
cycling
mean,
through of coaches that took place during it and
even
just
just the
kind of,
different landscape being in Canada
yeah.
and everything like that, like basketball had not taken off or whatever. Like there's so many different variables to consider at that time.
Yeah. And then, but just so, yeah, definitely for a few years, it was like, oh, especially his time in New Jersey, it was like,
Because
don't
he was
talk
so
to me about
good.
this
He was
guy. Yeah,
dunking all over,
he was
killing us
still
with
like
game
dominating
winners.
and Jake Kidd
Mhm.
just throwing him lobs. But,
Yeah.
especially, and then especially not getting over the hump against LeBron all of those years. Obviously, there's that sting, but that championship for us, like as OG day one fans, that like if you're still feeling ill towards Vince now,
Yeah.
that's a tough pill for me to swallow given the euphoria of
Oh, for sure.
2019 and winning the championship,
Yeah,
especially
we've
from
reached.
go ahead.
I was gonna say we've reached the top of the mountain. We shouldn't still be bitching about the first 50 steps or something. You know what I mean? Like we've
Yeah.
reached there.
Like
Hmm.
the guy in the team, because crazy team we had back then, but like that really gave us as basketball fans in Toronto a taste of what could be. And that's that playoffs, deep run, like being a staple in the NBA landscape. And that went away really quick, like when Vince left, and it took a long time to get back. But yeah, like
It's the same thing as like a lot of our childhood heroes that we're seeing be disgraced, like your Bill Cosbys, your Puff Daddies, or whatever. Like we were big Puff Daddy guys, growing up. We loved fucking Cosby Show. We love these things, and now it's sullied. And I think that like because we idolize these people so much in our youth, that when we hear this negative news, it hits us a lot more. And I think Vince was right in there too. He was a hero for us. He
yeah,
was a childhood hero. He was the one that broke through. He was the one that put us on the map. He made us not a joke. So yeah, I got nothing but love for Vince at this point. I think I've matured. I've grown out of it. Like you got to get over your ex at some point, right?
yeah,
So
totally.
get over it, bro. Get over it.
You can't be as happy as you were, singing in the streets when we won, and then still be upset
Yeah.
about Vince. But
More generally speaking, though, like, have you been following the team at all in the off season? Are you up to date? Are you excited about this season?
I'm excited about coming into a new season healthy, right? I believe our big three, so our young three, so to speak, and surrounding pieces are all healthy. But I haven't been paying much attention to the ins and outs of what's going on. Other than obviously, Scotty inking that huge deal, right? That's gonna
And now is this a
establish.
matter because of just like life, or is it because the team is not that exciting at the moment?
Ooh, no, definitely life. Definitely just kids, job, like life's in the way. But I don't know. Do you have any nuggets to share if you've been following anything from the last few months?
No, I haven't. But I find it very interesting that their approach, like before the offseason started, Masai saying that he didn't want rookies or whatever, and then he ends up grabbing five rookies. So like it's definitely a twist. It seems like we're leaning heavy in the rebuild. To your point, too, like I'm excited about new season. I'm always excited about new season. And I understand we're not going to win a championship. We may not even make the playoffs or whatever, but it's that growth. Just basketball in general is just a sexy sport. Like there's so many changes, and the league is just so much more better and so much more dynamic now. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. And if we embrace this purple color
Yeah,
scheme kind of thing, I think that'll we're due, man. Those chevron jerseys, that's
gotta
time.
go.
Not a
Yeah,
good one.
I gotta go. But you know what I will say is from the Olympics, just the play of RJ. Like RJ Barrett was playing big in the Olympics, and so as we progress into the season, his first full year with the team, I think that's something to look forward to as well.
Yeah, I don't think that's a fluke. And I don't. Same with quickly. I don't think he's a fluke either. Like I think
Right.
these guys are going to make steps. And even Grady Dick, that's the one player that I actually have been watching. Grady Dick, he has gained weight, and I see him like looking much more comfortable. He did well in summer league as well. So, yeah, I do think that there's things to be excited about. But the league is still a superstar driven league, and we still need
Yep.
Scotty. I think he's right there, but I think he's still got another step to take.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, we'll get in. I mean, I guess we should do some sort of like season preview or our thoughts in another talk. But um, yeah, I think that Scotty, all the pieces are in place now for him to take that next step. And hopefully not have freak injury like he did last year.
You mentioned that your kids are getting in the way of your enjoyment of basketball. Are you introducing, like, are they following the Raptors? Will you get them as fans?
Well, my daughter's just not really into sports that much right now. You know, she's 8. Dance is her life, so dance is her sport. And then my son, he's going to be 3 in a few months, and so he'll if it's on, he'll watch it. So there'll definitely be Raptor games on when the
Nice,
season starts.
nice. So then here's the big question then. Are you gonna get one of these jerseys? One of these city jerseys? When's
Yes,
the last, and what was the
yes.
last Raptor jerseys that you got?
Well, you know, my previous employer, as you know, being
Oh, yes.
Nike, I was able to get, you know, I have a few of the jerseys, but the last one I bought was probably for my daughter, and it was a Siakam jersey. That I have a Lowry jersey and a Van Vliet jersey, I think are my 2 most recent, both the black with red trim.
Mhm.
But I will definitely be getting this city jersey.
Interesting. So I think I have a Vince with the purple and the black at the back. So if they
Right.
bring that out, then it's time for me to bring out the vintage. The only other Raptors jersey has got the red Chris Bosh, which for some reason we
Yes,
don't talk about him anymore.
I know, Chris. Yeah. But no, yeah, so I don't have to pull out some of the older jerseys. I have to find them somewhere too, because yeah, I think I had a white Vince Carter, like back with like a one of the replica jerseys. And I definitely had a red Bosch as well. So yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I mean, that's interesting stuff. So any more thoughts about the jersey? Are we excited? What are we rating this out of 10 here? I'm gonna give it a like an 8.5. I think it's up there. I just wish that it had the city like Toronto someplace on there.
Yeah. I'm
Yes.
gonna yeah, I'll give it the same or a 9. I like how it's dark, like the Blue Jays city jersey is
Okay.
too, so
Okay.
kind of similar in that.
Hey,
But
maybe now that we're all under the Rogers umbrella, maybe they'll all be from the same color eventually, anyways.
I do want to see it in person though, because I'm a little worried about, yeah, like it just in the picture, it looks off center. So where like the actual player numbers going. So I want to see it its entirety. But again, man, just circling back to the fact that they chose, like, besides, you know, the team with the Larry O'Brien trophy, that, you know, shot of Vince with the ball between the legs is probably one of the most iconic Raptors like pictures or visions
I'd
outside of
say,
the championship, right?
yeah, I'd say like there's Kawhi's shot
Yeah.
and maybe some championship moments, but you're right, it's that Vince dunk. That's
So
it, you know?
it's again like the I guess not only the creativity, but like we said, like the person to say like, you know what, like we're doing this with this, and no, despite, I mean, I guess the whole point is to get people talking about it, but I think it's a really cool and a really insightful um you know, logo
The only other
alteration to
thing,
make.
you know what I'm thinking about as you're saying this is like an equivalent would be if the Jays had a Jose Batista bat flipping,
Yeah, like a bat flipper. Yeah.
because that wasn't to win a championship. That was just like an iconic moment that like we're gonna remember that forever. You know what I mean? So that'd be
Yeah.
kind of cool maybe in the future.
Yeah. So I just think, yeah, it's really cool the fact that they went down this road. And again, for me, it's that really that warm and fuzzy that you wish, you know, who knows what would have happened if Vince had stayed and circumstances would have been different. But again, for him now going into the hall, so, no, I don't think as the biggest Vince fans, we would have thought he had the longevity of the career that he had. And so, you know, making the impact on the game that he had after, we'll even say his time with New Jersey when he started to be more that veteran presence. But yeah, I'm just happy. And like I said, I think the jersey is a must for me as a item to as a cop,
Yeah,
because
it would look good
it
on
really
you too.
closes that chapter. Oh,
I,
thanks. Appreciate
I think
that.
you'd rock that well. I think you'd rock that well. And yeah, it definitely does. It does close that chapter. So I do think that this is definitely a good positive move for the Raptors. Hopefully, it parlays into some wins in the season, or at least some excitement over the season overall, which likely it will. And you know, like I do think that it's nice. You know, some people might think that we're going overboard by doing too much for Vince, considering he never brought us a title. but he is the first player to go in the Hall of Fame with the Raptors jersey. Like
Yeah.
he could have chosen a bunch of different jerseys. So like he gave us love by saying, I want to go in as a Raptor and representing you guys. So, I have no problem with us giving him that same sort of love, right?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And like I said, any ill feelings towards that time, it's just, OG Raptor fans like 2019 just washed it all away. And even when Vince moved on, obviously still want the best for him. But yeah, it was just going from what could have been to then we were able to achieve it. That I think that anyone that's questioning why this happened maybe isn't a day one fan or doesn't understand that part of
Shots fired. Shots fired.
or
Shots
at
fired.
least that part of Raptors history because of like what Vince and that team meant to the organization. And I think that you got to think that the Charles Oakleys, the Antonio Davises, obviously T-Mac will love it because they're cousins, but you got to think that those guys are going to get a kick out of this too, just because they were, Vince lifted all of them up and gave them, much more publicity or maybe longevity in their careers to being relevant,
Absolutely.
right? So
We would have no idea who Kevin Willis was if not for this. Something like that. All right, all right. Well, let's table it before we run too long. That's a little taste here. James, you got to promise me it's not going to be that long before you get another one of these up. Let's try to get one up before the season starts.
That's right. Let's do it.
And we'll try to come with a little bit more research so we have some factual support and not just an opinion based.
Yeah. And comments, let us know. Love, hate, let us know what you want us to talk about. Let us know, and we'll keep going.
Absolutely. All right. Sounds good, brother. I
All
can't
right.
wait till
Talk to you
next
soon.
time. We'll look forward to it. Peace. Let's go, Raptors.